Hey guys, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing my July reading wrap up. So this month I read 10 books and we're just gonna get into it and talk about them and their ratings. So first I read the first two books in the Paradise trilogy. I read Winter in Paradise and then What Happens in Paradise. This little series is by Ellen Hildebrand, and I read the first two at the beginning of the month and then I read the last one towards the bottom because I got kind of tired of it. I don't know. This series is basically about this woman. Her name is Irene, and she is in Iowa. She's from Iowa, just kind of chilling, having her thing, and she gets a call on New Year's Day from this random lady, and it's like, hey, your husband's dead. Like, what the heck? Is like, your husband's dead. And she's like, what happened? Like, he was supposed to be on a business trip. Like, I don't understand. Turns out he was in the US Virgin Islands with a secret home, and a random lady was like in the house with him, or in the house on the plane with him. He was on like a private plane in the US Virgin Islands, and she's like so confused. She's like, what the heck? Like, why is he there? What is happening? So her and her two older sons, they go to the US Virgin Islands to try and figure everything out. I loved this series because of the alternating point of views, and it's really good, and I love all the mystery and stuff. Next, I read What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. This was a really good Swiftie book. So this is about Lily Hopper, who is a senior in high school at this boarding school in Rhode Island. And basically they have this tradition their senior year to do a senior prank, and the jester is in charge of it, and then he has this thing called Band of Fools. And Lily, who's the most just good girl, straight edge, doesn't do anything bad, she gets invited to the Band of Fools, and she's like, what the heck, why am I being invited? Turns out her ex-boyfriend Taggart, who is, y'all, this whole book gave me such Gilmore Girls vibes, and Lily is Rory to a core, literally Rory, and Taggart was so Logan vibes. Oh my gosh. And yeah, she gets invited to his Band of Fools, and it was so good. I give it 5 stars. I loved it so much, and it was just all the little characters and all the little banter, and I said, so many Taylor Swift references, and it just had such a vibe of Taylor Swift, and I just loved it. I loved it so much. And then next we have Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid can literally, I always say her name wrong, can literally make me interested in probably drywall. This book was about tennis, and I'm not really a big tennis fan. I've never watched a tennis match, probably never watched a tennis match, and this made me interested in tennis. It's about Carrie Soto, and she basically was this really big tennis star in the 70s, I think, and she ends up coming back because some girl has broken her record, and she's like, nope, that's not okay. And she comes back and she tries to redo it, and she just has this crazy comeback career. It's crazy. She just has this crazy comeback, and I really liked it because it showcases so much how women, especially very tough women, are portrayed in sports, because I feel a big thing, they talked about this a lot, and I don't really know that much about tennis. Maybe this is I don't know, but they talked so much about how it was almost more of the norm to be a pretty girl while you're playing tennis, not being too intense, not like the girl who is taking her title away, she's known for grunting. Sorry, she's known for grunting when she plays, and Carrie Soto is a very volatile player. She's very intense and aggressive, and she doesn't really have a lot of sympathy for her opponents, and that's definitely something I feel you see a lot in men's sports, and nobody really says anything about it, but people have so many complaints about her, and I love the way that it was written, and just the way that TJR writes books. She makes the characters feel so real. Genuinely felt like I was reading like an autobiography or something. Like, it was so good. Next, Daisy Hates. Oh, also, I gave this book 4 stars. I gave this 5 stars. I love this book so much. This is the second book in the Magnolia Parks universe. And unpopular opinion, I think, I don't know, I love Daisy way more than I like Magnolia. Magnolia, I'll talk about it because I read one of her books this month, but she is just so bratty to me. That is sometimes hard, like, feeling sympathy for her, and it's just hard to kind of like empathize with her or anything because she has no empathy, and it's just like I just can't. I'm sorry, but I love Daisy. This girl is tough as nails. She is the little sister of a mafia crime boss in London. Let that sink in. She grew up her whole life in like the mafia world. Her parents died when she was really young. She was like 9, and they died in front of her. And then she is basically having a relationship with this guy, Christian, who is kind of involved with Magnolia. They're all like very like, it's the universe, so they're all like interconnected, like they all know each other. And Christian is kind of like connected to Magnolia, and their relationship ends up kind of being a little more sassy because of that. It's just so good, and this book like almost made me cry. It was so good. I loved it so much. I love Daisy. She's so funny too. Like the way, like whenever it was her point of view, I was just like cracking up because I was like, this girl is so funny. I can't wait to read The Great Undoing. Okay, next I read The Final Gambit. This is the last book in the Inheritance games. Honestly, I think I just waited too much in between. When I read the last book, which was like the middle book, I think it was the Brothers Hawthorne or something. It was the Hawthorne Legacy. When I read that, I finished that book. I really had like no intent of reading the third book because I didn't really I feel like when I read the first book, we were on such a cliffhanger that I was like, I have to read the second one. But then when I read the second one, I was like, I don't really feel like I'm on much of a cliffhanger. Like, I literally waited a year to read this. And then by the time I read this, it just took me so long to get into it because I feel like the first maybe like 100 pages were just kind of like, I was just not invested at all. And then I got really invested in the last like probably 30% of it. What the? Oh, I put this on backwards. I like don't read books like hardbacks with the jackets on them. I was really confused. I was like, why is it upside down? I put the jacket on wrong. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was like not fully invested in it, and it just took me so long to read. Honestly, I was like reading these 3 all at the same time. Like, I finished this one actually, and I was reading like these 2 at the same time, and this one, like all 3 of those I was kind of reading at the same time because I just kept getting so bored of this book, and I was just like not interested. I don't remember how many stars I gave it. I gave it 3.5 stars. So yeah, that's definitely not as many as I gave the first 2. I think the first book I gave it 5 stars. Second book I probably gave it like 4 stars. This was 3.5 just because of how long it took me to get into it. Like, I don't understand why it took me so long, but I wasn't really that invested. Next is Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. This is the 3rd book in the Magnolia Parks universe, and this is the last of Magnolia Parks, like actual Magnolia books that are out. I know Magnolia Parks 3 is coming out. I'm actually so excited because this ended on such a freaking cliffhanger. Magnolia Parks, basically, it's about Magnolia and BJ, and it's basically Gossip Girl, but British, and Magnolia and BJ are basically just Chuck and Blair. Like, that's the only way for me to describe it. Like, Magnolia gives such, like, Blair vibes, but like I said, she's very self-centered, And that's why it's like kind of hard to read these books, because it's like she's so self-centered and out of touch with reality. She's very rich. Her family is very, very rich. Her parents are very rich, the way that she was raised. But I remember like when I was like watching other people read this book, specifically Sarah Caroli, a lot of people were talking about how this book kind of gives you a lot of closure on why the characters are the way they are, because their relationship is very toxic. The way that they treat each other is very toxic. I think it did definitely at the first part, like the first part of the book, I definitely got a lot of clarification, and I was like, oh no, like they're like this makes sense, this makes sense. But then they kept doing things, and I was like, guys, like, why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Like, can we stop? And it was just, they're so messy. I love them, but they're messy. Magnolia specifically, get your shit together, babe. Like, oh my gosh. I gave that 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I love Jessa Hastings' writing too. Like, the way that she writes, I love like British writers or like Irish writers. The way that they write is so funny to me, because it's like the curse words and like the different vocabulary and stuff is just so funny. And the way that they were like talking in that book was just so funny to me. And Daisy Hates, they were like calling each other like, you did it, and they were like saying all these things, and I was like, damn, guys. Okay, next I read The Naturals, which I feel like is going like kind of viral on TikTok right now. This is also by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, who did The Inheritance Games. Honestly, I did not like this as much as I thought I was going to. A little disappointed. Like, I don't know why I didn't like this, but I just didn't. And I didn't get the vibes that I got. Like, the first time I read The Inheritance Games, like the very first Inheritance Games book I read, I finished that within like 3 hours. Like, I was obsessed with it. I read the first one within 3 hours, and I immediately went and bought the second one and read that like within like the same day basically. But with this, for some reason, it took me so long to get through, and B, it was like I just was not connecting to the characters at all. And I also don't feel like a need to read the second book, because I feel like it was very wrapped up. Like, I don't know, I feel like it was just very like, there isn't anything else I need to know. Like, I guess there are still like questions, but also the ending was kind of just like predictable. If you think about it, I wasn't really paying attention, so I didn't get it. But I started thinking about it and was like, it's like really, really predictable. Basically, this is Criminal Minds, but little kids, not little kids, like teenagers. So Cassie Hobbs, she is basically like a profiler, and the FBI has been taking like teenagers who are like naturals. They have like natural abilities that can help out the FBI with like cold cases, or it's supposed to be cold cases. I don't know. And there's like a group of kids, and she goes and like lives with them, and Cassie is a profiler basically, and so she is helping on the cold case to do a profiler. But at the same time, there's a serial killer at large who starts like targeting Cassie, and it's because, or there is reason to believe that it's the same serial killer that killed Cassie's mom. So there's like that going on, and I felt like we were talking about that way more. Like, there were no cold cases, I feel like I don't know, I feel like that never happened. I was just really confused. I was like, what are they doing? Like, they're literally not even doing anything. But I don't know, I didn't really like it that much, but it was still interesting, I guess. I gave it 2.5 stars. Then I finally finished the Troubles in Paradise series. I was honestly gonna DNF this series at first, because I started reading this one and I just kind of did not like it at first, and a lot of the characters I was starting to hate because of the way that they were acting, specifically Ayers. If you know, you know. I did not like her this entire book. Just, I did not like her at all, and I still don't like her. Like, I have so many opinions. I don't like her. I think she's extremely selfish. I don't like her very much. So I gave this book 2 1.5 stars. And then, last but not least, I fell asleep. I read Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. I don't know what to say about this book except so insta-love. Like, so, like, insta-love to just, like, not even, realistic to that point. Like, it was enemies to lovers, but, like, it wasn't even, like, I don't even understand, like, what was happening. Basically, it's about Natalie Voss and August Cates, and they're in Napa's, California, which is, like, wine capital of the world, and August is trying to basically, like, create a winery because one of his ex-best friends, he's an ex-Navy SEAL, one of his ex-best friends who died, like, his late best friend, wanted to have a winery in Napa, so August tried to, like, create the winery, but he can't create wine because he sucks at it. So Natalie is, like, basically, like, the star family of Napa. She grew up making wine, and she decides to help him, but they decide to create a fake marriage because Natalie wants to go back to New York, do, like, hedge fund stuff. I don't know. I'm not a finance person. I don't really care. And she needs, like, to be married to get her trust fund so that she can create this business. So they get married. And, yeah. I don't know. I just felt, like, so freaking insta-love to me. And, like, it was kind of cute at first when August was, like, obsessed with her and was like, I love her, like, I love her. And then I was just like, I'm just so confused. Especially Natalie was, like, not precipitating it at all. And then she was like, I'm in love with him. And I was like, wait, when did that happen? Like, when did that happen? When did that happen? And she was also just so, like, oblivious, I feel like. Like, she was like, oh, he doesn't like me, and he's literally, like, on his hands and knees, like, begging her, and she's like, no, he just thinks I'm a friend. Like, what, babe? What? She's like, he hates me. I'm like, I'm sorry. What? Yeah, so I gave this book 1.5 stars, and yeah, that totals out all of the books that I read this month. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.